Hey, welcome to Wind River Microbes Dirty Talk Virtual Summit. This is Gardening with Microbes for Dummies 101. We're going to have some wonderful panelists on tonight. We're going to be focusing on home gardeners who are going to be using microbes for the first time. So we're going to have some great experiences to share. I hope that you guys will stay to the end. For those who want a free microbes consultation, you can look in the description or the chat box and you'll see a form to fill out. And for everyone who fills out this form, you're going to have someone who's going to follow up with you. So please stick around, get your notepad out, get your pen ready, and we are going to have a great time together as we demystify microbes and we learn from each other's experiences. So I am going to hand this over to Jackie Dayberry. She is the founder and president of Wind River Microbes.
Hi, thanks, Evan. Appreciate that. First off, I just want to welcome everybody to our summit. We're kind of getting good at this. This is, I don't know, our third one or so that we've done. And so we're tickled to be doing one on home gardening. It's that time of the year where the grass is green and the roses and flowers are blooming, and you know, everybody's kind of wanting to keep that visual around for as long as we can keep it around. And so we're excited to share Wind River Microbes with you this evening. We called this Gardening for Dummies or Microbes for Dummies, kind of like you'd have a cliff note in a college course. But anyway, we're basically trying to help everybody make it really easy. And trust me, if I can garden, anybody can garden. And using microbes has certainly helped with that. So I'm going to be in and out this evening, but then again, I want to welcome everybody. I'm going to let CJ introduce all of our panelists this evening. CJ Swicky is one of our national managing distributors. And so he's going to kind of take my place this evening. I know everybody gets tired of seeing and listening to me. So it's time to get my team involved. And everybody here that's on the panel is part of our team. And I believe there's a chat session that EC Umberger is managing. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to type them in the chat box, and we'll get your questions answered here on screen. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to CJ, and like I say, I'm gonna listen, but I'll be in and out. So I'm happy to answer any questions that maybe somebody else can't answer. CJ?
Good evening, everyone. My name's CJ. I've been working with Jackie for a few years. I initially got into microbes. I have about 4,000 square feet of greenhouses that are currently up, about the same amount we're getting ready to put up again, and I got with her to help with some of our plant productions. At the time, I didn't quite understand microbes. I didn't understand what they were, so I'm going to talk about that a tiny bit, and then we're going to talk to some of our panelist people. What I didn't realize when I started was plants and microbes live in a symbiotic relationship. So microbes are what help plants grow, and plants give microbes nutrients to live. Some of the things I've seen since we started using microbes are we do a lot of cuttings of elderberry plants and rootings. Our root growth's phenomenal. Our plant production's amazing. We've actually turned one of our greenhouses completely into fruits and vegetables and herbs this year to see how that will work. And I'm seeing squash plants with leaves 22 inches long, 3 feet tall plants inside of 20 days from seed in our greenhouse right now. One of the mysteries behind it, science is just now getting to the point where they can look at microbes and inform people, hey, this is what they're doing in plants and with plants. So we really didn't know prior to this, but we're finding most of our soil is depleted of them, especially in home gardenings. A lot of home gardeners like to turn part of their yard into a garden, and any of the chemicals that have been sprayed on the yard can kill off microbes, and that will hinder the growth rates of your plants. I'm going to go ahead and let's let James introduce himself real quick.
Hi, my name is James Burke, and I work in LaGrange, Texas, with a company called CHB Consulting. We are a land management company, work with folks on cover crops, no-till farming, agricultural production, but we also work with a lot of people growing, 1 acre, 2 acre gardens for food, and also have been doing permaculture consulting for about 10 years. Glad to be here.
Scott, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Scott Brown, and I sell soil to greenhouse growers in Texas and Oklahoma. My wife and I also grow African violets and sell those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we're excited about the soil care product, and it'll be interesting to hear some of the other folks talking about it.
Deb and Leah, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Deb Sundberg, and I don't have any fancy titles behind my name. I'm just a home gardener that loves to garden and eat the produce.
And then my name is Leah. I'm her daughter, and I've been using Wind River microbes mainly on our pastures and for our livestock and our animals. And then Mom always shares with her garden with me, and it's incredible. So we wanted her to share her pictures and her stories tonight.
Awesome. All right, Joe Parker, introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Joe Parker, and I have been involved with Wind River probably about since late 2019. First introduced to it with looking at some photographs of some successful plants that had been planted, garden plants, and wow, they just look fabulous. I couldn't believe that we had some photographs that were before and after that looked like that with just the use of microbes. So it piqued my interest, and we got involved with it and have met some great people over the few years. Some great landscapers. Have seen Deb and Leah's place up there, and boy, they got it going on up there, let me tell you. That's pretty much it. I've also introduced EC actually and Evan to this business, and my friend EC was or is an avid gardener, home gardener, and I was telling him about this and showing him some examples to it, and oh wow, he took the ball and ran with it. So as you can see, he's greatly involved in the company and the organization as well now.
Awesome. Hey, EC, why don't you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll do Evan.
All right, sounds good. My name is E.C. Umberger, and as Joe was saying, he introduced me to Wind River Microbes. I think it was in February of last year, and I was like, what are microbes? Are you kidding me? But now, hey, look, I'm a person that does home gardening, and I didn't even know about microbes, right? So, hey, it's just the world we live in, right? And so I love to do container gardening. I live in Rowlett, Texas, in a very urban, suburban neighborhood. And so I do a lot of my gardening in containers. And so when I started to use the Wind River Microbes products, I was blown away to the size of the plants and the way that they just absolutely were just thriving. And people in my neighborhood were amazed by it. I also re-landscaped my entire yard in October of last year, and I utilized soil care and biosol, and perhaps I'll be able to share a little bit more about that a little bit later on, because it's an amazing, amazing organic opportunity. Let's just put it that way. Evan?
Hey, y'all. I'm in Abilene, Texas, and I am EC's son. And if you guys know anything about West Texas, it's pretty like it's the desert. And so there's conditions that you need something to get the soil going and get your plants going, and microbes thrive in this type of hostile environment. But my wife and I just have, we just have a backyard garden. And previously, every time that we tried to just keep something alive, including just fresh cut flowers, they would die or stuff in the backyard. Now we just don't have that problem. I actually just had a friend right before this come over and go, wow, look at those fresh cut flowers. It's like, yeah, we put microbes in them. See those other ones? We didn't. And so we've just been like EC and Joe and other people have mentioned. I mean, I've loved learning about this and how it benefits us personally, and just what we get to do together by doing this. Visiting Deb and Leah's place and seeing Jackie's place and seeing how microbes are so integral for every bit of life. And so I'm just eager to learn myself, and just to say, here are some experts, like point people in the right direction.
Awesome. So that's our panelists. You can see we've got a lot of different people that do different things, and we're going to start out with the basics, and that is, I'm going to show a photo real quick of germination on seeds, because if your seeds don't germinate, it's not going to do any good. Can everyone see that photo? Cool. So as you can see, really good germination on this. High germination seed content. The interesting thing is, when we moved, whoever moved us put a box of seeds in our attic. These seeds, expiration date was 2014, and they've been in our attic ever since then. Now, those conditions aren't good for seeds. I almost threw the whole bag away, and I thought, you know what? Microbes help get things started and get them living. So I thought, hey, let's take some of these microbes, let's soak a paper towel, put the seeds in them, and see what kind of germination rate I get. This was my experience. However, I have got a lot of different people across the nation who have done the same thing, had seeds that wouldn't germinate, some specialty rare seeds that are just hard to get a hold of different plants, and they're seeing the same thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next stage in a plant, which is its roots, and I'm going to let Scott show you some of his stuff as soon as I figure out how to get this thing back over here. So Scott, if you'd like to talk to them about the root growth you've experienced.
Okay. I did not have a lot of knowledge about microbes, very minimal. And I started to work with CJ, and he kind of explained to me how that works. And so I tried an experiment on some African violets that we grow. And one plant was treated, the other plant was not treated. And I don't know if everyone can see that. Okay, great. The plant on the right of your screen was treated with the soil care, and the untreated plant is on the left. You can see the treated plant has substantially more roots, which was very, very impressive. And, I don't know if people are familiar with African violets, but they have a very weak root system. It's not like a root system on a tomato plant, or a lot of plants will have a real vigorous root system. African violets have a very delicate root system, but the ones that were treated with the soil care, it's just a slam dunk on more roots, better roots, more feeder roots, which are the little fuzzy roots that come off of the main root. We call those feeder roots. And so I believe that is going to give you a more durable plant, a more drought resistant plant, insect resistant plant. And, a good plant starts with good roots under it. And there's just no question about it that it definitely enhances the root system.
So Scott, you work with a lot of greenhouses with floral things. How do you think this would help just a general home gardener person who wants to get their flowers working better, growing better, flowering better? What are your thoughts on it?
I think that the home gardeners have a excellent opportunity to fully realize the benefit of the product, because a lot of greenhouse crops are, say for example, bedding plant flats. Some of those are grown from start to finish in 4 weeks, 6 weeks. That's very fast. And so imagine, something that has a longer crop time, like a tomato crop in your garden or any vegetable crop in your garden. Those microbes are going to have a whole lot more time to work and do their thing, which I think is the longer they work in that soil, the better, that symbiotic relationship that CJ was talking about, the better that will be. And I'm sure that, CJ would agree with that the longer term crops will even be more dramatic results.
You do see a lot of amazing deals. I'm going to show you another photo real quick of roots. These are squash plants roots. Can everybody see that? It's showing up. So you can see up here on the top.
Yeah,
on the
looks good.
The roots, and you can see the ones that were treated with Wind River microbes. Now these were started from seeds. We ordered plug trays, did the exact same soil, exact same watering, everything. You just see the amount of root growth. And the healthier your roots are and the more of them you have, the plant is going to thrive and grow more. And that's part of what our formula does. Those microbes actually tell the plant, hey, grow more roots, open up your mouth, take up nutrients and grow. So with that, let's go on over to Deb and Leah, and they can show some of the plants that they have raised.
Okay, see if we can get our pictures up. Yes. Okay, I was kind of like everybody. I really didn't know that much about microbes, and I started using them in the summer of last year, and can't believe the difference that my plants have done. Leah's got a picture here coming up. This is my dill this year. I planted it by seed March 6th. And if you can see the stems on the actual dill itself, how thick they really are. And I've never had them that bushy even. They're just so strong and healthy and hardy. And go ahead and go to another one here. Okay, she's going to pick up another picture for me. There we go. These plants here, the bottom one is chives, the middle is thyme, and the third one you can barely see. I'm trying to think what that one is. It's one of my herbs, but anyway, what I've done in the past, before I knew about microbes, I used to cover these with a plastic to help protect them through the winter, so they would survive, they wouldn't die. And this year I thought, let me see what happens. So I treated them with microbes, probably in December before we got the really heavy cold. Oops, I guess Leah can't. She's going to try and get that back on. Okay.
That's all right. Technology is great. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not.
I know. I can't do this. She's got to do it all for me. Okay, can everybody see these pictures now?
Yes, looks great.
Okay. Like I was saying before, on these herbs that I grow, I would always cover them through the winter to protect them when we were going to have a frost, so I wouldn't lose the plant. This year I didn't, and this year we had that record-breaking cold snap that lasted for here around 10 days, where it was really cold. The temperatures below freezing. I didn't do anything but put microbes on these, and I did not cover them. And then we did have a late frost in mid-April. I think it was around the 14th. We had it where it got down to like 28, 27 somewhere. And again, I didn't cover them. I just had microbes on them, and they just were protected. I mean, they were just strong, came right through that cold snap, and like it never even happened. I went ahead and they're flowering because they're last year's plants. Okay, Leah's going to put another one up for me. Okay, here's one. Yeah. Okay, can everybody see this next picture?
Looks great.
Okay. I planted elderberries for the first time last year, and the top pictures when I planted them in July, and then I treated them, and you can see the little stake. It's probably like a 3-foot stake that I have to support it and to mark it so my husband wouldn't mow it when he was mowing the grass. So anyway, the bottom picture was actually probably the 1st of May, same plant. And I don't know if you can see the stake on the side, but it's towering over the stake. The plants are probably getting to be 5 feet tall or so now, and very healthy. And I was just looking at them today. They're actually getting the berries on them, and just super, super healthy and bushy and looking really good. Excited because I've never had elderberries before.
So one of the things I'm going to point out real quick about that elderberry plant, solely because part of our greenhouse is dedicated to growing elderberries. It's normally year 2 or 3 before they start putting on any kind of berries, is their normal cycle. So you're actually ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Have some more photos to show?
Yeah. Yes, we do. She's going to put something else up here. Okay. This is a tomato plant I started in seed on March 13th, and I did not use microbes on it. It's finally that cold that we had, it was covered. It was in what I call, I brought them down from Wyoming, they're like a little teepee. They're called wall of waters, and it's like a little greenhouse effect to help protect them through the cold because I started them so early. But the cold just kind of stunted it. It's finally starting to come out of it. It does have a little bit of fertilizer in it, but no microbes. And then Leah's going to push this other picture up of the same plants. Yeah, there we go. That was it. Okay, can everybody see this picture here?
Looks great.
Yeah, these tomato plants were started by seed a week ahead of the last picture we just saw. And you can see how strong and healthy they are. They were also in those little wall of waters. And I took them off here after the cold snap, the end of April. But they're already forming tomatoes. I've got some tomatoes on this first plant. I should have took a picture today that are getting really nice sized green tomatoes. It's a beefsteak. The other ones are the Laromas, and they've got tomatoes already on those green tomatoes. But all are very, very healthy, and just so impressed with the microbes. And if you can see, I do container gardening. That's just because I'm lazy. The Bermuda grows so well back here that it was just too much work for me. So I really enjoy the container gardening, and I don't change my soil out year to year. I just add the microbes, and then I do put a little commercial fertilizer, but no insecticides. I try to put a lot of flowers in my garden for the pollination, and just very happy with the produce that I get and how healthy the plants are.
So Deb, as just a normal home garden person, what are your thoughts about microbes, and what would you like to tell anybody else that's looking at them?
I'm very impressed with how healthy they make your plant and the produce. You just get a better yield is from what I've seen in the past, and a bigger yield. I've never done fruit trees before because living in Wyoming, we didn't have the season there. And I've got some little pears coming, but last year I had a very good supply of pears that we had never had before. And I put the biossoil on those. And I'm excited to see what it does this year.
Awesome, cool. Well, I'm going to show a couple more photos of just some plants real quick. Give me just a second here, and then we will go to James. So this one right here is actually in our greenhouse. These squash plants, the exact same plants. There's 2 weeks growth in between those two. And I don't have any photos of them inside, but you can see right in here, there's flowers. There's actual squash growing on them right now. This is my son with a cabbage leaf. My wife uses them to make lettuce wraps with, and as you can see, you can make a quite large lettuce wrap with that. We're talking about larger plants here. That is a jalapeno pepper plant. That is 2 of them in my buddy's greenhouse, my neighbor down the street. I got him hooked on this stuff, and he could not believe his pepper yields he was putting out. It was just mind-boggling to him. So we're going to jump over here to James. Y'all are going to have to excuse the fact I keep looking up to the corner. That is where my mute button is, and I have to look up there periodically. So James, take it.
Thanks. Okay, so I guess there were some of the other folks are going to talk about what microbes are and maybe do a primer on how that all works. So what I would like to talk about is strategies for, the microbial topic has gotten really complicated, and there's a lot of science, and you can spend hours and hours reading white papers and looking at these crazy videos where they get really, really into the science. And we're kind of at this tipping point where we're learning an incredible amount of information about what's under our feet. And it seems to be that the more we look, the more we find, and the vastness and the complexity of it is kind of shocking. So for people that are looking at this, maybe on YouTube, it's going to seem really complicated. The good news is that it doesn't have to be complicated to use these strategies effectively for home gardening. If you're like me and you want to jump down the rabbit hole and get all nerdy, you can spend days and hours looking into this stuff. But if you are looking at this just from, how do I start using this? What are some strategies for my backyard, my garden? I would recommend that you almost, with Wind River microbes, you almost can't go wrong. I've used other microbes before. I make my own microbes, which is, again, just super nerdy stuff. And it is a very complicated, very messy process. And there's not a lot of incredible feedback as to what we're growing and what we're propagating. I mean, I'm making compost teas and vermicompost teas, and I'm making all these incredible things that everybody is real excited about. But we don't really know yet what's in there, and that's coming. And I'm getting microscopes, and we're going to get all into that. But what's amazing about the Wind River products is that you don't have to do any of that guesswork. It's all done for you. If you want to get into that stuff like some of us are, it's a lot of fun, and it's a real kick in the pants. But it's also a lot of work, and so you can use the Wind River products with just simply put them in water and spray them on the plants. You can use them as a foliar spray. You can treat the soil with it. You can use it in combination with existing Miracle Grow and nitrogen. You can use it with pesticides. You can use it with Roundup. It doesn't have to be hyper organic, hyper crazy. And I think that makes it a lot more approachable and a lot more accessible for people that are, like, hey, what is this all about? Well, just put this in a pump sprayer and use it, and you'll find out. And I think that really will help people sort of, get their arms around, how to use it and what to do with it. The other thing is that I would say, if you're like, I'm growing containers, and I'm growing cover crops in my containers. I'm also growing companion plants. And so my gardens look a little bit chaotic just because I want a massive amount of diversity. But the microbes don't like sunlight. They don't like to be exposed. and they like a little bit of moisture. You know, super wet is not great, but super dry is not great either. So if you're using them in your garden or containers, you know, I love the saying that Mother Nature is modest. She doesn't like to be uncovered. And that's true, whether it's out in the field or in a farm or in a container, you'll do yourself a lot of good and help the microbes by keeping something covering that dirt, whether it's, you know, wood chips or, you know, you can use plastic sheeting, weed sheeting. I use literally cover crops, but that will help you get the most bang for your buck. To be honest, the Wind River products work no matter how you use them. so you don't really have to get that complicated with it. But here is a quick, let me flip the camera. Flip. So here's a quick diagram of the soil food web. If you're looking online and you want to look up some information on what microbes are and how they work, this is a great little thing to look at. Dr. Elaine Ingham came up with this diagram and this idea, and largely is responsible for popularizing kind of the soil microbes. This is literally what my containers look like. So there's clover in here, there's ryegrass, the companion plants, and there's also garlic, and there's chives, there's all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to use beneficial insects to help me with pest control. So that's why this looks so chaotic, but it's by design. When it comes to pests, I'm not super concerned about a few little bugs eating leaves. I use neem oil when it gets a little bit bad, and that's literally microbes and neem oil and compost in the soil, and that's the only thing I use in these containers. But we got a little bit of a late start. This is literally just now. I took these pictures because it was raining, so sorry if the quality. You see marigolds in here for insect repellent. There's chives, there's watermelon in here, some cucumbers. Now this isn't as impressive as CJ's tobacco leaf looking cabbages, but the size of the squash leaves are just, it's incredible. They're probably 12 inches across. And these are just a couple of 6 weeks old, 5 weeks old plants. I'm pulling squash out of these containers that are 14, 15, 16 inches. And the only reason they get that big is because I can't see them or I forget about them. So if don't think that this is, has to be complicated. Just spray the microbes, use a pump sprayer, and you'll see really, really immediate results. In LaGrange, Texas, right now, everything's wet. We're in a monsoon, but very, very soon we will have some of the driest conditions in Central Texas. And what we've noticed over the last couple of years working and using Wind River microbes is that there's a drought tolerance that the plants develop that is incredibly important. And that just makes all the difference in the world around here. And so if you're in an area where you get a lot of rain, it's probably not that big of a deal, but you'll hear people talk about frost resistance and drought resistance. And that's really the key, is to be able to survive those sort of catastrophic events and weather the storm of whether it's the summer drought or the winter ice. So that's about it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the big deals, that since microbes and the plants live in a symbiotic relationship, the microbes are going to do what they need to do to keep the plants alive. I've read some studies on them stating that when the populations are correct and you have enough, that they will actually reach 700% the distance of the plant's roots to pull water back to those plants and to help get them to water during drought. Microbes aren't just in garden. I'm going to show another one real quick. Have a screen. Can everybody see that? So this is a person's front yard, and they have tried forever to get their grass done, especially when you're getting a new home. When they do your pad and everything, they're not looking for high quality soil. They're looking for whatever they can push over there to make it work. A lot of times you're going to be lacking in microbes, which are going to cause different, as you can see, these dead spots and other things. I had these in my yard as well. We've had several other people that have and sprayed them. This is that same front yard 30 days later with some fertilizer and a good dose of microbes. So it's not just about your flowers and your vegetables. It's literally about anything that has a root system in it. Microbes are beneficial to and help them greatly. I see Jackie is back. So Jackie, I'm going to let you talk to the homeowners about application and how they can do it.
Well, okay. Applications are pretty stinking easy. In fact, I've got one behind my head, it looks like. I don't guess we would need a crop duster for a yard, but that's what we use out here in the wild where I'm at. Actually, we use helicopters to spray. But anyway, applications are very, very easy. You can apply via soil, which would be just simply watering the microbes into your soil. You can use them as a foliar spray. You can use them in a lot of people in nursery type situations or greenhouses will use aquaponics or aeroponics, hydroponics, anything like that. Water is a carrier for the microbes. And as James mentioned, they do not like sunlight. So if you're going to do an application, say a foliar application, it's best that you do that early morning or late evening, because what you will find is a lot of times if you spray that, if you spray it as a foliar spray on your leaves, say 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, when the sun's really starting to come out good, sometimes those microbes can actually cause spots on your plants, and they're not detrimental, but the microbes do photosynthesize. So it's always best if you can spray them really early or really late. But like I say, application is easy. If, just don't be a ding dong like I did. And I went and watered a tomato plant with a gallon of soil care. And in less than 24 hours, I blew that plant apart. It grew so fast that it looks like somebody had stuffed a bomb up the root system of that plant, and literally looked like, you've seen those Chinese handcuffs that, they're kind of stringy looking, and that's literally what that stalk looked like. So I do not recommend watering with 1 gallon of concentrate on one plant. That's probably not a wise idea. But like I say, water is the carrier for the microbes. So if you're in a drought type situation, very low moisture in your soil, you probably need to mix those microbes, say a gallon with maybe 20, even 25 gallons of water. And don't worry about thinking that you're diluting it too much, because those little boogers, when they hit that soil, they'll go to multiplying. They breed, and as CJ said, they don't just stay right at the root system. They travel out to grab whatever nutrients or water or whatever that plant might need. There's actually a communication system that takes place between plants and the microbes, and it's called quorum sensing. And if you want a good read, Google it or DuckDuckGo it or whatever, and look it up and see what it says. But it's pretty nifty. It's probably like me trying to speak Chinese or something like that. It's just not my language, but those boogers can communicate with each other. And so what happens is that plant tells those microbes, hey, we need some nitrogen over here. So the microbes actually source nitrogen for them, and they are a very a natural cycler of nitrogen. They cycle nitrogen, they cycle phosphorus, they capture carbon and hold carbon in your soils. I mean, they're beneficial in all different kinds of areas. But anyway, I'm kind of off the subject. CJ asked me to talk about applications, and I get on a tangent. I'm kind of excited about them. So I like what they do, and I don't think I've seen anybody yet that has tried any of our formulas and said, no, we didn't like it. Typically what you will see when you first apply the microbes is you're going to see a chlorophyll change. And so what that means is chlorophyll is what causes the pigmentation in your plants. So that light green or dark green color, whatever they happen to be, they should be a nice, rich, healthy, darker green color. And so if your plants are lighter green after you've applied the microbes, typically within 24 to 48 hours, you're going to start seeing a chlorophyll change. So if they were a light green color, let's say like the pasture behind my head that they're spraying, that crop's kind of a lighter color there on the bottom. And within about 48 hours, you'll see that color change. It's going to start getting a deeper, darker green. And if you ever, want another good, interesting read about chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a measure it's basically an indicator of plant health. So the richer the color in your leaves and your stems and all that, typically the healthier your plants are. CJ, what other questions we might have?
Jackie, let's ask this question, because somebody, from what I understand, is going to win a 32-ounce bottle. And if I'm wrong on that size, I'll make sure that's the size. Let's say the winner of it. How far will 32 ounces go in a typical homeowner? Can they dump it straight on? Should they mix it with water? How much water should they mix it with in a pump-up sprayer? Just general application for that person winning.
Okay, that's pretty simple. Yes, they're going to give away basically a quart jug of soil care when this is over, and it's got a little measuring device on the top of it. It's one of those squeezy bottles, and you can squeeze up to 4 ounces in it, I think. And so you're going to measure out 1 ounce, which is 30 milliliters, and you're going to dump that 30 milliliters in a gallon of water. Some people like to overdo it a little more, and they might put 4 ounces in a gallon of water. That's okay. But basically all that's required is 1 ounce. And so if you'll do that and mix it with a gallon of water, go water your plants with it. I don't care if they're house plants or, if you've got a little raised bed in the backyard, or you're like Deb and, you've got some dill that you need to put it on. But anyway, basically 1 ounce per gallon of water.
Awesome. All right, EC, what have you got for us tonight? EC, you're muted, I think.
I know, I'm muted. Sorry about that. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to, as I'm getting it prepared right now, I'm going to tell you that we've lived in our house in Rowlett, Texas. It'll be 9 years this July. And so when we bought this house, it was horrible. The landscaping was horrible, and it just got progressively worse. So I don't have time tonight to go through the whole big story with all that, because I actually did utilize the magic of photography and video and planting all these plants and everything. But I want to just take a very quick time and just kind of show you a couple of isolated situations where we transplanted plants from the front to different parts of the house so that they got the right kind of sun, because you have plants that like sun, you have plants that like shade, right? And so when I started applying the microbes into my yard last year, it was in the summertime, and it was towards the end of the summer. And I just started like spraying them into my different areas of the plant, but areas of the yard and of the garden, so to speak. But what I'm going to share with you right now is I'm going to show you some of the plants and how they've, in this last couple of months, they made it through winter, which I didn't think they were going to do it. And then I'm just going to walk you through some of the pretty amazing things that I've seen with that. So I'm going to share my screen now. Hang on just 1 second. get a hold of my cursor if I can find it. There we go. I'm working off two screens right here. So even someone who does this every day has a problem trying to find their cursor. Oh, good night. Here we go. Share screen. Okay, I'm going to get here and I'm going to share it. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Okay, sounds like we're good. Okay, so this is a knockout rose bush. There were two of them that were in the front of my yard that we didn't even know they were there till we started ripping out the shrubs that had been here probably for 25 years. So we found these knockout roses, and whenever I moved them to the back, what I did, they had hardly no root system with them whatsoever. And so I literally used bioswale and I put them into a pot and I just gave them a good drenching of bioswale, not only on what leaves that were left, but also in the soil, and they developed a root system. And so then I went and planted that into my backyard. And this was the plant before, and you can see they're starting to get great little bulbs out of here. They're getting ready to bloom with these roses. So of course, there we have that little one. And then all of a sudden we get to that like 3 weeks ago, and they are just absolutely just like blowing up. And I really left these plants for dead. I didn't think they were going to make it, but they did. And so that's a cool story right here. Now here's another cool story. So a couple of weeks ago, this plant has been in my yard for a long time. And hang on, I'm trying to get it to come up here. Hang on, I don't know why it's not moving forward. All right, I'm gonna see if it'll advance this way. Okay, having technical difficulty. Wait 1 second. We'll try it again. Okay, so what you can see, what you're seeing right here, for the last 8 years that we've lived in this house, this plant would grow every year with these green leaves right here, but it would never do anything, like nothing. So like last fall, I started spraying soil care into this kind of shade garden area, right? And I thought, well, what the heck? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to start treating it with soil care. So I treated it about 2 times last year. Well, this spring, all of a sudden, this plant starts to grow this ginormous stalk that you can see right here. And I really didn't know what it was. I mean, because I've never really grown this particular plant. And all of a sudden, when I saw, I realized, oh my gosh, this is an amaryllis plant. And so all of a sudden, this plant starts to bloom for the first time in the 8 years that we've lived here. And I mean, it is an amazingly beautiful plant. It's just got beautiful bulbs on it. It's got blooms, not bulbs, the blooms are beautiful on it. And so it's just really, really a cool plant. You can even see that there's this brand new green frog that I'd never even seen before in my yard. I don't know if the soil care turned on the frogs that lived in the fauna as well. But anyway, it was pretty crazy to see all of that. One other thing I want to show you here is another cute little picture of the frog. There we go. So I, like Deb, I grow herbs. And so I have been growing thyme in this pot for the last 3 years. And until this spring, this thyme has never bloomed before. Okay, it's always just grown out, but it's never bloomed before. So that's another testimony to what people have been saying earlier. I think James actually talked about this, that if you start treating the soil, then what's going to happen is it's really going to start working with that root system and make it even better. So this is a hosta, and this hosta is, like, I kid you not, 3 times bigger than what it was last year. Now, this is in that same shade garden that has the amaryllis right to the right of it right here. And this hosta is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like the hostas that grow in Maine. It is so big. And that's not typically what you have here in the plains of North Texas, but it's just a great, super big plant right there. It's got some beautiful, last one, and I'll just finish up with this. I'll just finish up with the picture that we have of just the the flowering that happened with this plant was just amazing. It's never, ever flowered before. So that's kind of what I just wanted to share with you, being a home gardener that does things in containers, but also whenever I started applying the microbes to the soil itself, it was very evident to me this spring, as we're in early summer, that my soil so much needed microbes. And what I'll do when we do another one of these virtual summits, I'll walk you through the landscaping and you'll be able to see a great before and after, because it's coming along and it's really, really doing well. But we'll kind of hold that back as a teaser for the next time we do a home gardener virtual summit with that. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Awesome. So EC, as an individual who had never heard of microbes before, what was your initial thought about it, and what's your thought today?
Well, when I first thought about it, okay, so I got to be honest, my biology, I took advanced biology when I was in high school. I was actually a communications person in college, so I didn't take college science classes, but I remember my high school advanced biology teacher talking to me about microbes. And all of a sudden, everything just started to click in. And it was like, I started researching it. Joe Parker gave me some videos to watch. I started reading. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I watched another video on Netflix called Kiss the Ground, which was a documentary that talks about how we need to replenish the earth. And the only way we're going to be able to replenish the earth is to build it from the soil up. And that is putting back microbes into the soil that have been taken away. So I'm a firm believer in microbes, and I think they are amazing. They are just absolutely an incredible God-given thing that every living plant and also every living organism needs microbes, because we all have them.
Awesome. I'm going to show you guys a picture real quick of one of my wife's roses. You can tell me if you see this or not. Can y'all see that? Cool. So my wife she grows roses as well. And just the other day, she walked out and I had treated her roses with microbes this year. And she noticed that normally she gets 1, maybe 2 crops of roses. And she walked up and goes, well, the flowers are ending, but there's tons of buds on it. And I told her, we had a guy in actually down in Abilene. His name's Skip. He works with us as well. But his first year in his new house, he experienced with his roses, they were kind of a yellowish color on the leaves. They only produced 2 crops of roses. So he treated them with the microbes, Wind River microbes. And that next year, he saw 12 to 18 inches of growth, dark green, and he got 6 crops of roses. The last one came in December. We also had somebody that had been growing roses, tried the microbes the first year and found they had the, Seven Sisters roses. And she'd always bloomed one color, put the microbes on, and all of a sudden the rose bush starts blooming all the different colors. So one of the things you've got to remember with microbes and plants is if plants aren't healthy and they're not getting what they need, food-wise, water-wise, nutrition, don't have a balanced symbiotic relationship going on, they don't produce like they would normally. You don't get the fruit, you don't get the flowers, you don't get the growth rates. So we're going to jump over to Joe. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, actually, I would like to close out real quickly. One of the guys that was supposed to be on the panel tonight, his name is Peter Romo. He is one of probably the more successful landscape contractors in the Dallas area. He couldn't be on here tonight because of a family death. So we met Peter in probably like it was February, I believe it was, at one of the landscape shows in Arlington. And he bought a gallon of biosol. I wanted to try it. And he called us a few weeks later and said, hey, you better bring me some more of that stuff. Just real quickly, he went and placed it on some trees that he was removing from one of the larger estates that he keeps, does all the landscaping for him in Highland Park. And he thought the hurricane that came through and destroyed several of the trees and bushes, and he had to go and dig them up. He thought them all. Long story short, he sprayed them, took them all up, took them back to his to his lot in nursery and replanted them and sprayed them with the biosol. And he was afraid he would lose about maybe 50% of them if he was lucky. Did not lose a one. Forward that by a year, he now buys it by the 55-gallon drum. He buys the biosol, and he literally puts it on everything that he puts in the ground. He uses it on his trees and shrubs and bushes, as well as the lawns. He sprays it on the lawns. And he has some very large estates that he keeps up here in the Dallas area. And he said the biggest thrill he gets is to have the owners come out and tell him that, hey, wow, Peter, what are you doing to the lawn this year? It really looks superb. So he's really grateful for that. And like I said, he uses it on everything he puts in the ground now.
Joe, we're talking about Peter, the guy that's landscaper to the stars, right? That I can't even afford to drive into that neighborhood.
Yes, he is commonly known as the landscaper to the stars. You'd be amazed at some of the people who he handles their stuff. So,
well, if it's good enough for them, I would say it's good enough for all of us as well.
Absolutely.
Evan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, yeah, I do. Let me go ahead and just share my screen real quick. So here we go. All right. So can you hear me? All right. We've got two things I wanted to show. So this is going to be a guessing game of what the heck are those in your front yard? And the right answer is roses. We found out later. Beautiful, beautiful roses. We, I think it was around Easter, just went to town. Mom and dad came in. We were just spraying the town red with microbes. So this is, red for biosoil as well. And so the next one is, what are these? And it's lantana. I mean, just beautiful lantana in the middle of Abilene Desert. I'm going to share just a couple of other photos. Here we go. Just some backyard. Tomatoes that are coming through. My wife took these pictures today. These beautiful close-ups. And you can definitely see just how, this is in a container. Just how green and beautiful they are. And this is our raised bed. And so, it's just been amazing to go from everything you touch dying to having the Midas microbes touch. So, and I can take no credit for it at all. It's been my wife and Wind River Microbes. Back to you, CJ.
Awesome. Is it switching over to me? There we go. So as you can see, microbes are for everything. I got a video today from a guy that's a farmer, and at the end of the video, he just said literally, I can't believe what this is. His plants were growing better. They germinated better. Their growth rates were better. He was pulling plants out and showing the roots. The roots were substantially larger. This product isn't just for everyday home use. It's for anything that has roots, y'all. Everything on the planet has roots and uses microbes. Your body has microbes in it. Science actually says you have 10 times the amount of microbes in your body that you do cells and DNA. The entire planet's made up of microbes. And what we're finding is through our usages of chemicals, over-fertilization, not good soil practices, we've killed a lot of those off. And in killing them, over time, we now accept the growth rates we have as what they're supposed to be. When in reality, we're so far off of what we should be seeing growth-wise, production-wise, germination-wise. It's a totally different game changer. It's changed the way we do our agricultural stuff. It's changed the way our greenhouses run. So I'm going to turn this back over to Evan, and we're going to let him, actually, Evan, are there any questions out there that need answered? You're muted.
I think we've covered everybody's questions because I don't see any. So we do. We like we said at the beginning. For those who stay on towards the end, we are going to do basically a drawing for those who want to go ahead and get a free microbes consultation for home gardeners. So you could just click the link that's in the description in the chat. We've had some come through, and just know that if at any point, even beyond this, this is going to be archived, just go to windrivermicrobes.com. And the beautiful thing about that is that you can be able to look at how microbes can be applied to different examples and different types of people. And so you can be able to look, if you're a home gardener, if you're a farmer, if you know a landscaper, a rancher, there are Wind River microbes available for all these different walks of life and all these different examples. And so if ever you want to have just a free consultation, just either go to the Find Online or Find Nearby. We have amazing people all throughout the country. Find someone local to you who can be able to look you in the eyes and give you a handshake, and be able to help you. And we have these different forms, as you can see, for getting a free consultation and just to talk through what's your situation like and what sort of solutions and sort of options do you have.
I just want to say thanks to everybody, all of our panelists, and thanks for everybody that joined in with us to listen, and those folks that will be watching us later on. We appreciate the opportunity to share the excitement of microbes, and appreciate the opportunity to show you that even people like me with a brown thumb using microbes can garden.